Back in the early days of the 16-bit console wars, Nintendo tried making the SNESCD and failed.
How about a kiss? For luck.
You've got to be kidding.
But I do wonder, is it because of this failure that the Satellaview even exists as it is in the first place? In this mostly uninformed ramble, I will make a case that the Satellaview has a clear connection to the SNESCD. One of the most important considerations for me when theorizing this is the timeline. For the SNESCD specific stuff, I would suggest reading another article or seeing a video on it. Basically, the CD add-on was all but officially dead by the end of 1992. Now, what I'm putting up for display here is an excerpt from the archive of the St.GIGA Forever memorial site, which is on, well, Web Archive. Check out the part that's circled here. My ability to interpret Google Translatees tells me that this is the time when Nintendo purchased stock in St.GIGA. This stock purchase would be a few months before Nintendo would officially out that the SNESCD's dead. The next notable piece of documentation I can find is this Billboard article. This is basically when the Satellaview was first publicly announced. I'll be referencing this article in some future work. By the way, Sega's first public announcement about the Sega channel would be 3 months after Nintendo's St.GIGA purchase. So if Nintendo knew about it before, it was espionage.
Strange, isn't it?
For most Americans, the extension port on the Super Nintendo system is one of the biggest wasted opportunities. Everyone here knows it was meant for the SNES-CD. Fewer know that the Satellaview ended up using it in the end. By the way, some of that mock-up artwork of the Super Nintendo CD gives it a very strange visual similarity to the Satellaview's plastic. Or maybe it's not so strange if, say, they constructed it from SNES CD parts. Nintendo does have a history of that. Remember them Gyromite carts? This is the one that really got me thinking about this. Just listen.
このプログラムは衛星回線を通じて全国のプレイヤーが同じゲーム空間でプレイできる世界で初めてのゲームプログラムです。
SoundLink. It allowed Nintendo to work with high-quality audio without dealing with CDs. Sure, nowadays I'd consider the cons to be not worth the effort in retrospect, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone at Nintendo was thinking that this would ultimately replace the CD format, as completely nonsensical as that sounds. When you think about it even, there's some things you could do with SoundLink that you couldn't really do with CDDA, such as, well, going over 80 minutes, or being able to modify the voices for another run, or giving the illusion, or even the reality, that they were just broadcasting live. No editing and no censorship? Oh, and you wouldn't have to deal with CD stuttering. Wow, I'm totally brainwashing myself here. But yeah, digital audio with no CD. Let's compare Satellaview releases to releases on another platform. I think I'm on to an interesting observation with it. Starting, of course, with BS Zelda, and its predecessor, Legend of Zelda. BS Tantei Club, and its predecessor, see the pattern? Famicom Tantei Club, well, both prior parts. Then we go to BS Shin Onigashima, and, well, Shin Onigashima. Probably mangling that pronunciation. BS Super Mario USA? Oh-ho, gotcha! You may call your Doki Doki Panic! What do all these have in common? It's pretty obvious, actually. They're all Famicom Disk System releases. And Nintendo didn't make too many sequels to Famicom Disk System games on standard Super Nintendo. It's almost like the development team thought of the Satellaview as the Famicom Disk System's successor. But for a digital distribution platform, that doesn't really make sense, does it? Well, not unless the Satellaview was also a replacement for something else. It kinda makes me wonder, were any Satellaview projects originally designed for the SNES CD platform? If this theory holds any water, I think that would be a great thing to look into. But until then, I'm still researching. Hopefully no one's gonna comment on this video of, well, that's obvious! Because, you know, if it was obvious, I'm pretty certain someone else would have made a video on it by now, instead of waiting for me to do it with my shoestring budget. On the other hand, if you want to prove me wrong, come at me, bro!